Hi cycling fans, welcome to part 2 and what might be the final part of my Viner DCX build. I guess I wasn't really intending it to be a series as such, but I thought I'd just kind of record interesting events along the way, and hey ho, there wasn't anything particular to report, so it's finished, as you can see. I've been out on it on the road only so far. I've done about 100 miles on it, so seems a shame to get it dirty so soon, so but we'll venture off on some bridle ways or something similar soon enough. So I guess a lot of my bikes I like to they kind of grow organically, so this has got a fairly eclectic mix of parts on it just to get it kind of rideable, and then we'll see. I can't then upgrade or change parts as we go along. So there's no point in doing reviews on the parts particularly, unless anyone's got any particular questions, because I guess we all have our own preferences and likes of equipment and components, etc. So there is. That's quite a smart looking bike. I've tried to keep the colour coordinations going, so helped by some Jaguar kind of neon green cabling to pick out the graphics on the bike. The red handlebar tape doesn't quite work in the same vein, but I had a couple of rolls in the drawer anyway, so I've used those up, and I've chucked a piece of red rayleigh cable on in red just to pick out the just so I have some kind of matching element, as well as you can see there's a little tiny splash of red on the wheel rims just next to the Pacenti logo. So just run through a few bits and bobs that may be of interest. The kind of headset expander plug is a data item. I kind of chose that particularly. Obviously you can't see it now, but it does go all the way down. I think it's important that the handlebar stem is supported. Obviously being carbon fibre, it's important it's supported inside, because the clamping force on the stem can be quite significant and can cause delaminations of the carbon if you're not careful, and obviously we don't want our steerer tubes to snap off in our hands. So yeah, that worked quite well. The little cap on here is held on with a magnet, so I need to my magnet came unglued after I hadn't even ridden it. It came off and unglued in the garage, so I've put that back on with some super glue. That seems okay, but yeah, it's nice and snug, providing you haven't lost the magnet. So I would recommend that. I've got about 35mm of spacers in there just to give me some future adjustability. Didn't really want the spacer above the stem to be quite as much, but I think that's 8mm. But if you have anything less, you need to have the stem above the steerer tube, which again is another no-no for those who know anything about carbon. Frame in general, so notwithstanding the Italian references, obviously Viner, I said this on the earlier video, but Viner was a defunct Italian brand acquired by Planet X Cycles in England, so albeit it has Italian references, then I think the frame is, I believe it to be made in China. It has no specific manufacturing tabs on it. But having said that, it's my second carbon bike, and the build quality I've been really impressed with. Looking inside the frame as much as I could in the build, then there's no, very little, if any, wrinkling I could see. Couldn't see any resin pooling. They use EPS formers in the key junctions, and that really seems to give it a really good compaction. So it was really tidy inside, which is usually the sign of a good frame. So, but quality-wise, yeah, no problems at all. My first bike with through axles, so I can't say I've noticed the front end front or rear end being any more rigid, but yeah, people far cleverer than I seem to know their stuff, so they're quite simple, not quite so quick as road bike wheel changes, so I guess you probably wouldn't use them for racing, but yeah, I ain't going racing anytime soon, so that's somewhat irrelevant. Yeah, can you see there the so-called El Guapo named hubs, which I believe is Mexican for the handsome one, so how appropriate in my case. Yeah, they're from Planet X, built them up myself with the Pacenti rims, with some Sapim Race spokes. So yeah, I've built a few set of wheels now, so they're fairly straightforward, nothing fancy, just 32 spoke 3-cross wheels, but yeah, they haven't collapsed yet, so happy days. My first foray with the TRP Spire twin piston mechanical brakes. So I've got 2 bikes with disc brakes on. One's the kind of Avid BB5s, and another one with some Hayes CX. These are taking a while to bed in, so they've got very little stopping power at the moment, but I'm just hoping that's a pad issue. So as soon as they get worn in, then they'll be up to par with the others, but very easy to adjust so far. So yeah, so far so good. Chain set, yeah, I had an old Truvative Elita, as you can see, chain set knocking about, so I whipped off the 50 ring outer ring and popped an old 46 on. That chain ring, that is about 25 years old, so it's not worn, but there's no chain ramping pins, so the shift from one ring to the other is ponderous, to say the least, but hey ho, I shall change that in due course perhaps. Got 1132 cassette on the back, just to go with the 34 small ring on the front. So that was yeah, basic Shimano. I've had to get a new saw mech to cope with the 32 cassette, so nothing fancy, but does the job, works quite slickly. Yeah, come back to a wishbone kind of seats down the back, so not the prettiest setup in my mind, but gets the job done, and yeah, keeps it nice and tidy. Yeah, that little O-ring there is just kind of something I do on all my bikes, so just get a little O-ring, you get them off eBay for pennies, and just stick it down there, so when the bike gets wet, it helps cut down water ingress going down the seat tube. So yeah, worthwhile mod in my opinion. That's probably about it. Not much else to say. Basic saw mech on the front. So okay, I know some people would be totally horrified by this, but I had some Claris 8-speed levers. How many of you out there have got 8-speed levers nowadays? So they're pretty much brand new, so it seems a shame not to use them. I guess off-road you probably don't need the gear selection you do on the road, so I don't think my cadence will be suffering too much. So they work well enough. They're not as slick as the higher end group sets, but yeah, I think for off-roading and general mucking about, then they'll be fine. And that's it, guys. I'm going to stop rambling now. So there it is, quite a nice looking bike, and yeah, I'll so far highly recommend. All the offerings from Planet X, great value, and yeah, from what I can see, the quality is good as well. So that's it. I'll try not to answer any questions you've got specifically, but other than that, and yeah, have fun, keep cycling.